I'm Christopher Zweig, and today on CJ at the Movies, I prove to you that I'm not AI by reviewing movies starring Chris Pratt, Ben Affleck, and Matt Damon. Let's take a look. Our first movie is Mercy, which takes place in the year 2029, and since pre-crime wouldn't be invented for another 20 years, they created an AI judicial system known as Mercy. The process is simple. The defendants have 90 minutes to prove their innocence and way below the 97.5% guilty mark, and if they can't, they're executed. Chris Pratt stars as a detective who was wrongfully accused of murdering his wife, and Rebecca Ferguson plays the AI judge. Motives of him being guilty include how he handled his alcoholism, who his wife has been seeing, and how their daughter, Kylie Rogers, is forced to open a second IG account to express how much he hates AI. Mercy was directed by Timur Bekmambetov, who previously guided Pratt as James McAvoy's unfaithful friend in Wanted. Parts of the movie have to have the point of view of computers and phones, especially since he produced movies like Unfriended and Searching, while other times it looks like a regular action movie. A movie like Minority Report had a vision of the future and knew how to handle what the law unfolds, but here it's more of a gimmick, a way to represent how AI has to be soulless and how everything has to rely on Pratt's yelling and the alcoholic husband cliches to bring on the emotional weight. Once we get to the real killer, we're more interested in his motives than we are in the AI programming. It's not as bad as The Electric State, but it's still crappy and typical, so skip it. Our next movie is The Rip, the latest collaboration between Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. This time they played two detectives whose captain was murdered, and they, along with other detectives played by Stephen Young, Teyana Taylor, and Catalina Sandino Moreno, must get to the bottom of it. They find an address regarding a tip of dirty money, and inside that house they discover a $20 million rip. But at this point it's difficult for them to know who to trust. The Rip, written and directed by Joe Carnahan, is a little predictable about who the real villain is, but it does know how to handle the genre, and being an Affleck-Damon movie, it knows the meaning of the word attitude, and has the characters arguing, making snappy comebacks, and trying to unravel whatever mystery the movie places them in. At this point, I trust these two in an action movie more than I've been trusting Jason Statham lately with run-of-the-mill action movies like The Beekeeper and A Working Man, especially when they're not reincarnated as the same people. So see it. Next up, All You Need Is Kill, the second exciting attempt to adapt the Japanese novel into a feature after the Tom Cruise Emily Blunt movie Edge of Tomorrow. This one is anime and R-rated and has no star power to try to sell this movie, and I have to say I loved both versions for how they handle the time warps and alien battles in their own entertaining aspects. This one is told from the point of view of Rita, an isolated volunteer worker who helps clean up whatever mess the roots of a giant alien plant is causing. Then monsters get released from it and she's killed, but wakes up the next morning. The time warp continues and she's literally dying to find a solution to all this, and soon finds another person in the same loop, a shy young man named Kenji. I like how the main heroine basically goes Memento by using a Sharpie to write the number of repeats she has done on her hand, and instead of doing the suicide jokes in Groundhog Day or Happy Death Day, both Edge of Tomorrow and All You Need Is Kill both play like video games where you're never annoyed by how much their respective main characters wake up the same morning. You're supposed to pay attention to how they need to break the rules for the sake of both invaded Earths, and in this version there's a strong sense of emotion you can feel in the crying and disposition of the characters, and the animation is amazing, almost like a puddle of oil and water, and represents a psychedelic trip through the world of anime, and yet you're more mesmerized than dizzy, so definitely see it. Next up, Sheepdog, which tells the story of a former gunnery sergeant and ex-convict being released after 30 years in a life sentence, and his son-in-law, a former combat vet who has fallen on hard times of booze, drugs, and fights. The old man Whitney is played by Vondie Curtis-Hall, and the young vet Calvin is played by the writer and director Stephen Grayhm. And while Whitney wants to reconnect with his daughter Alice, played by Lily Cooper, Calvin is sentenced to a 30-day rehabilitation sentence with the PTSD rehabilitation program hosted by a combat specialist in training played by Virginia Madsen. The story also shows that these two have lost loved ones in their lives, either by a bad decision or in combat. The respective therapy sessions with Whitney and Alice are supposed to help Calvin deal with the pathos as a war hero and a father, and the estranged relationships he's given are filled with dialogue that helps bring out their emotions instead of the obligatory screaming. Sheepdog was a 14-year journey for Graham, who has studied and acknowledged the PTSD pain that vets have experienced, and he deals with the topics with a heavy hand and never exploits them for entertainment purposes. And he's also generous enough to allow the supporting work from Curtis-Hall, Cooper, and Madsen to share their screen time and help his character deal with his own pathos. Sheepdog might not be an easy film to watch, but it's a well-acted and gripping depiction of life after combat, and it tells it like it is, so see it. And our last movie is H is for Hawk, which is based on the memoir by Helen MacDonald, who lost her press photographer father and adopted a goshawk to help her with her grief. Claire Foy plays Helen while Brendan Gleeson is her father, and she names the bird Mabel. She was inspired by her good friend Sam Spurrell and her dead father to buy the bird, and although she's not without cynicism from others, she still learns how to handle Mabel. Directed by Philippa Lothrop, H is for Hawk lacks the emotional support from the likes of Helen's other good friend Denise Goff and her mother Lindsay Duncan, although they respectively check on her. They should do more than just whisper and sit in the sidelines, but the movie does hold our interest and allows us to feel Helen's pain, especially since we've lost loved ones along the way. Boyd plays Helen with sincerity and complexity, and we acknowledge that she handles her pathos like a mature adult. H is for Hawk is a nice little dramatization of her story, and a fine feather friend at that, so see it. Recapping the new movies I reviewed this week: thumbs down for Mercy, thumbs up for The Rift, thumbs up for All You Need Is Kill, thumbs up for Sheepdog, and thumbs up for H's Hawk. Well, those are the new movies I'm reviewing this week. I'm Christopher Zweig, I'm not AI, and I'll see you at the movies.